Hi everybody, it's Josh with Talk About Trek, and we are back again today with a new haircut and finishing up the fourth book in the New Frontiers. New Frontiers opening, I guess, is kind of how it is. These first four books have really just been one book divided into four parts, an introduction to these characters and this space and all that, and I'm sure you've heard me say that before. But now it's wrapped up. This beginning has come to an end, and we can finally move on to. I feel kind of like now the stage is set. We know the characters, we know the situation. Now the next book, which is number 5, Martyr, is gonna just pop off and be crazy, and it is. Look how much bigger it is too. Oh, it's gonna be so good, but. We're not here to talk about Martyr today. We are talking about New Frontier, Book 4, Endgame. Of course, this is by Peter David. The New Frontier concept being by John J. Ordover and Peter David. Let's read from the back. From the universe of Star Trek The Next Generation. A new ship, a new crew, a new mission. Roll call, the crew of the USS Excalibur. Captain Mackenzie Calhoun, wearing a veneer of civilization as others would a cloak. Oh man, wearing a veneer of civilization as others would a cloak. Man, makes him sound really cool, right? Calhoun will find himself facing a scheme for revenge that may unleash the savage warrior he keeps locked within inside himself. Lieutenant Robin Leffler. An eternal optimist, Leffler occasionally asks the wrong question at the wrong time, and yet this time it may lead the Excalibur crew to unexpectedly shocking answers. And Commander Elizabeth Shelby, walking the fine line between duty and conscience. Shelby may find that she must decide between the life she loves and the man that she once loved. As the Thelonian homeworld faces catastrophe, Captain Calhoun must confront his own bloody past in a life-or-death struggle for survival and honor. But when the planet's ultimate secret is revealed, only Captain Calhoun and the U.S. Excalibur can save the last remnants of the Empire from total destruction. Yeah, decent back. These backs have always been fun. I love the roll call that they've done on each of them. It kind of really hypes up all of the characters, and just kind of makes it excited to get in there and read more about them. So very cool. This book cost $3.99 when it came out, and I don't think I've said this before, but man, I am coming late to the party in this, aren't I? This was 1997. Whew, 1997. What was that? That was only like 17 years ago or something? No, that was a long time ago, Josh. That was a long time ago. Anyway, we're late to the party, but better late than never. I came into this on a suggestion, and what a great suggestion it was. It's been, but the perfect book, kind of at the perfect time, really has engaged me. And honestly, I know they're shorter than a lot of the typical Trek stuff, but we've been doing fairly well. We started this saga here on the 7th of November with the first book, and finish up the fourth here just in under 3 weeks. So, honestly, not too bad at all, right? So, again, we're going straight into book 5 tonight, which we are very excited for. But before we do that, let's conclude the beginning of the New Frontier saga with Endgame. So, what did I think about Endgame? I think that I liked it a lot. And that's the thing, if you're ever watching one of these videos, you can rest assured, 100%, I will be talking about something that I like. Because, for the life of me, I don't understand the point of going on the internet and then talking about things that you don't like, which seems to be like over 50% of the internet, right? It's like, let me tell you why I don't like this thing. That's a waste. That's a waste of your time to listen to that, and a waste of people's time to make things like that, I guess, in my opinion. So just talk about things that you like talking about, and then don't talk about the things that you don't want to talk about. Simple as that. I liked this book, and I liked, again, this whole beginning. Again, I kind of feel like I'm glad that I read them as the 4 separate books, but it really was one book. Maybe someday I'll get the omnibus and just kind of see maybe if that comes with a little bit of extra who's a what, I don't know. Might come with something. So anyway, it was a great book. For me, I guess the highlights, the Calhoun and like Shelby dynamic. I like that. Um, and just that'd be exciting to kind of see where that goes and how they kind of play off of each other. And then Zak and Si Cwan as well. Their whole story, really throughout like the whole series of books, has been very interesting. And what it's doing is it's like planting all these little seeds for me where I'm like, oh man, I want to see how these characters, progress with each other and how these relationships come together. I've already had a tiny little glimpse, but that's hardly anything compared to all the other stories that are out there, which I think maybe I have another 15 something. There's something in my tooth. I'm sorry, hang on. That will bother me the whole video. Okay. Anyway, there was the train of thought, and it left the station. There. Anyway, yes, I'm looking forward to seeing the relationships develop throughout the series, and I guess just how all these characters develop too. There's so many interesting characters that they're trying to put into this, right? You've got, of course, Calhoun, Shelby, Si Cwan, Cabran. Like right off the bat, I like all 4 of them. But then Soletta, Dr. Solar, Burgoyne, McHenry. The list just kind of goes on. And then they're throwing in like, Leffler and some other people as well. So there's a lot of potential for a lot of very good, a lot of good fun and a lot of good character interactions and things going on. So just like I said, looking forward to, now that we've met everybody and we know the situation, we know where we're at, we can move on and really jump into this whole New Frontiers thing that we're going to be doing. So yeah, that's it for the non-spoilery section. From this point on, I'll just kind of blabber about things that I liked about it in hopefully some particular order, but probably not. Let's see. This one, let me refresh my memory here. I did actually take decent notes, like nearly a whole page of notes. So at the end of the last one, right, Si Cwan and Zak were aboard the science vessel when it was getting ready to blow. And it did blow. And then you had Calhoun, of course, dealing with the Nelcars and their leader, Lahira. So, first off, I love the way that Calhoun dealt with like the whole situation with Lahira. Like that was, I don't know, just a very Calhoun way to do it, right? So basically, he kind of laid it out that like they made their choice to beam down there to be with you. You're not gonna get anything from us for them. That's what they chose to do. Go ahead and kill them, But then after you kill them, we're going to kill you. Then, he gets ready to launch the photon torpedoes. Lahira calls his bluff, and then at the last moment he kind of backs down. But then, what he does is to take the recording of that whole situation, basically showing her saying, I don't care if you fire, I don't care if you destroy these people, I'm in a bunker, it's not going to get me. And then he starts broadcasting that to everyone, the whole planet. So that basically the whole planet then turns against Lahira and then this, what's the other guy's name? But he had like kind of like the generic head of state guy. So the whole planet riots and turns against them, kills them. So it starts out rather a lot of bloody kind of nastiness and gore as the government is overthrown and they're, So now they have the that situation is resolved, and then the planet Nelcar is now kind of a more friendly with the Federation and Calhoun because of their assistance that they provided there, even though it was a bit unorthodox. But as Calhoun says in the book, I mean, like, that's kind of why he's out there, to do things, his own way. You can't always follow the strict letter of the Prime Directive. So, now the other part of this story, well, there's a few parts. The other big part is that Cabran, and Si Cwan, of course, aren't dead. They were beamed out at the last moment and actually captured by the Thelonians, with the help of Calhoun's brother, I don't know, Dende from Dragon Ball Z. No, Dindai. Anyway, so anyway, they have them now locked up in the dungeon, and they plan on dragging Si Cwan out, giving him like a mock trial kind of thing, and torturing and executing him. However, Zak claims that they can't do that. They are now inside the Federation embassy on Thalon, which he himself has established. They're in the cell, which that was just a very awesome set of scenes here, where first he breaks out of these bonds, which like nobody thought he could get out of, and then he keeps taking down everyone that tries to come in, saying, you can't come into this embassy, so that was very well done and just very fun. Eventually, they're called to the meeting chamber, basically, to meet and like plead their case. And this is kind of like their last chance. Zak has like been beaten up, he's been poisoned, he's been gassed, but he's been holding on like this whole time, keeping him safe. So, and then even at the very end, he still wants to stand with him, even though he's sentenced to be executed, right? And then he gets ordered away, of course. So it's interesting because I guess how everything kind of ties in the end, right? They bring it all the way back to the very beginning. So in the very first story, when Calhoun is still the warlord of Xenex, right? He's fighting for the independence. He kills this guy Falkar in the beginning. So now this guy coming back in this story, this is Falkar's son Raijan, all right? And now Raijan is basically claiming that Si Cwan killed Falkar, and is using that to kind of like do more to get him in trouble or whatever. So, but then Calhoun says it was I that did it, and he's still got the sword that belonged to Falkar, and he has it beamed down, and this Raijan guy gets enraged. So now you have this very cool final challenge. He challenges him to the final challenge where they've got to battle each other, and they're going at each other's throats. But then Shelby gets him, beams him up right away. But Calhoun's going to go down, of course, and he's got to do the final challenge. He's not going to stand down from that. Now, side note, Soletta was on Thalon in the first book. And when she was on Thalon, her ship fell into a sinkhole, and that's always bothered her. She's like, how in the world could this happen? I'm way too smart to have parked on a sinkhole, right? Basically. So she goes down with Robin Leffler, and they're scanning around, and then all of a sudden Leffler falls into a sinkhole, and she manages to get her and pull her out the last moment. But what they basically find out and discover is that this whole planet is falling apart, and all these earthquakes and stuff start happening. But what they find out is that it's not just falling apart, but something inside the planet is coming out. So the final challenge, the final battle, takes place in this kind of mountainous region. But then, for me, it brought back memories of like where Goku and Frieza were fighting on Namek, and like the earth was like shooting up in different places. So anyway, that's kind of what's happening here between Mackenzie Calhoun and this Raijan guy. They're battling back and forth, and there's rocks flying up, and the ground is shifting, and all this kind of stuff. And eventually, yes, there's even some lava. There's some lava down there, and then it comes down, and it's a pitched battle. This guy is a lot younger than Calhoun. He's stronger than Calhoun expected, and kind of gets the upper hand initially. They fight back and forth for a little bit, but Calhoun is able to kind of get him beat down a little bit, where he's hanging off of a ledge, and then he even offers to save his enemy. Then, kind of a change from who he was before, right? Anyway, the guy does not take his hand and falls into the lava, like Gollum, gets burned up, and that's the end of Rajan. So Calhoun is about to fall in as well, but then he is saved at the last moment by Shelby, who jumps him, grabs him, and calls for an emergency beam up, so they're able to get out of there. So at the end, they're sitting there looking at the planet. They're calling for a mass evacuation. They beam up as many people as they can to the Excalibur and all the other ships that are around. Everybody's trying to get off the planet. The planet explodes in this spectacular fireball, and then the great bird of the galaxy flies out of it. What a cool, and it's very silly, but very cool ending. Earlier in the book, one of the quotes that Burgoyne says is, "May the great bird of the galaxy roost on your planet," which is also from TOS. But so he brings that up, and then the idea is when this bird roosts on your planet, you're blessed with all this extra energy, which is what happened to Thalon. They had all this energy, which caused their rise in power, right? But then when the bird hatches, your planet blows up. So not that much of a blessing in the end, right? Anyway, the bird hatches. It's kind of a weird ending, because I thought maybe there'd be more of a interaction, but the bird kind of chases the Excalibur. Yeah, anyway, and catches up to them, and then they bust it up to Warp 9. It appears they lose the bird, but then the bird's right in front of them. And then they fly right into the bird's mouth, and right out of the back of the bird's neck, and then the bird flies away. Where did the bird go? Anywhere the bird wanted to go. And then, and that's it, basically. Oh, at the end, Zoran, the evil Zoran, who's kind of orchestrated this whole thing against Si Cwan, reveals to Si Cwan that his sister Callie is still alive, and then, does a maniacal laugh as he cuts off the radio, and that's kind of, that's your dun 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 lead up for the next one. So I am definitely thinking that Martyr is going to have a lot to do with him finding his sister, and then also maybe some tying up of some more of these loose ends as well too. Because this still ended up with, there's beef between Calhoun and his brother. Of course, Zoran's still alive and out there, and they've barely gotten into the fall of the Thelonian Empire and everything that comes out from that. That's just kind of what they're getting into now. So, yeah, there's a lot to look forward to, absolutely, and I'm going to get into it very soon. And they've got a nice cover here we're going to talk about next time. Anyway, this has been Josh with Talk About Trek, and we've been talking about Peter David's New Frontier, Book 4, Endgame. There's another Star Trek book called Endgame, too. Did you know that? It's up there. 2 Star Trek books. Anyway, now I'm just dragging, and the lights went out, and the lights are back on. As always, my friends, live long and prosper, and we'll see you guys in the next one.